Welcome, everybody, to this week's Sleeper Wire show. I am your host, Professor Chris, and once again, we have the main trio for Thursday nights, Prophet Hoos and Dirty Jobs. Hoos, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. It's week 5. It's quarter into the season. I feel like I've been saying this every week. I feel like I've been saying we're close to the quarter into the season in week 2.
No, you've been saying we're a quarter of the way into the season since the second grade debate, when it absolutely was not true.
Yes. So it's true now though, and you know it's okay though, because we're still in the thick of it. We're figuring out some stuff. It's a good time. Happy to be on.
Mike, how are you doing, man? Good to have you back.
Yeah, good, man. Doing good. I'm excited to be here as always, and of course, week 5, man. So if you're starting out like 1-3 and things like that, we're here for you. So it's good to be here.
Absolutely here. If you actually made a post on Twitter to post your 1-3 or 0-4 teams that should not be 1-3 and 0-4, it actually got a lot of activity. Saw a lot of good teams on there that you see like, wow, that in a 12 team and you haven't won a game yet.
It's so crazy when you
fantasy football sucks sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it just the cards line up against you in the wrong way.
You can have
what,
Diggs, Thielen as your 3 wide receivers.
And just black right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you have like Kelsey or Kittle or something. Like, say Kittle, you got Kittle. And then, I don't know, you got Jimmy G as your quarterback. Or no, worse. You went up and spent, after like Mahomes went, you went out and bought Baker Mayfield as a second quarterback. Oh, you're not loving your team. It should look good, but it just doesn't. But we're here.
You know what I'm loving? These Seattle Seahawk uniforms.
You do love them.
The lime green. Give it to me. Love it.
Laugh it, tap it.
They look pretty cool.
Yeah, they look badass. We do have a Todd Gurley fumble here, though, it looks like.
Oh.
That sucks. Bummer. All right, well, guys, before we jump into our quick question, we're still going to be running the Patreon deal that we've got going on, but it's changed a little bit now. Instead of $10 starting in September, anyone who pledges $20 a month starting this week and does it all season, so for the rest of the NFL season, is going to automatically be entered into the Pro-Am and a listener league for next season. Now, the way Patreon works is that if you pledge today, it doesn't charge you until the first of the next month. So you're really only paying $20 twice. You're paying $20 for November and $20 for December. And that's a huge deal for getting into the Pro-Am, right, Hoos?
That's insane. It's just like, why wouldn't you just do that? That's a steal. That's a sleeper right there, almost kind of for you. Like, it's like, yeah, you want to go out there and just go to Patreon/SleeperWire and just do that right now.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into our quick question. Mike Hoos, go to your waivers. Who would be your favorite bench stash right now? So waivers have already run, but bench stash right now, if you have an open spot. Maybe not to play this week, but maybe for the future.
So for me, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at mine, and the guy who really sticks out to me is Jeremy Sprinkle. I feel like this guy is going to have an opportunity over there. I really like his hands. I think this guy does have what it takes to be a good tight end in the NFL. And now with Vernon Davis possibly out of the way, I feel like he's going to get that opportunity. But on that Washington offense we don't even know who the quarterback is, it does look like it's going to be Colt McCoy now. But we're not even positive of that, so it's a mess over there. So I'd like to stash this guy just because I like the tight end of Washington if it works out.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and say someone who's not very coveted, but he should be available in pretty much every league, only rostered in 1.8% of ESPN leagues. Wow. Dontrell Hilliard, he's not getting a ton of work, but the work he is getting, it's efficient, and it's annoying if you're a Chubb owner because he scored touchdowns twice already in the season. So he's getting goal line looks. He's catching passes as well. Not a ton, but in that limited role, if we're always trying to stash guys that could be good in a very good offense, and this is one of them. This is an offense that could be amazing. We haven't really seen it be amazing yet, but they've had some tough matchups. They kind of got some tough matchups the rest of the way as well. But I like him as an interesting stash if anything happens to Chubb. And if we just don't, there is a Hunt out there, but I don't think you're picking up Hunt. He's so far away from coming back. I think that Hillard is going to be an interesting stash right now. If you could pick him up, there's nothing else. You just woke up and everything is gone, or you're just too busy like us. I'm finding I can't wake up at 3:30 anymore. I've done this every year. I woke up at 3:30 and picked up a player every year up until this year. I just haven't done it this year. So if you miss out on all the guys, I think Dontrell Hilliard's a decent stash.
You wake up at 3:30 every Wednesday?
I used to wake up. Mike, you do this, right?
How much does your wife hate you when your alarm goes off at 3:30 in the morning?
It's silent. I put it on.
You gotta have that alarm in your head, buddy.
I've been on shows with you for 3 years now. Your phone is never silent.
This is true.
Your vibrate will wake your neighbors up.
Well, that's what it is. It's the vibrate. On the side of my coffee table, on the side of my, whatever table.
Who sounds like his phone sounds like he's trying to start a small lawnmower whenever it goes off.
It does.
Oh, and you know what? I was thinking wide receiver myself. I was thinking Hunter Renfrow could be interesting for the Raiders, especially with Tyrell Williams maybe missing this week.
Right.
But you know what? I got to go with my boy, my Ball State alum.
Okay.
Willie Snead. Willie Snead, 2 touchdowns on the season. I'm going to talk more about him a little bit later. So, yeah, I actually put Willie Snead into the show notes because I made him so I can do what I want.
Awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. 2 teams on bye this week at the Miami Dolphins and Detroit Lions. You're really just missing Kerryon Johnson and Kenny Galladay if you have any of these players. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this week's buys aren't huge blows to most teams.
Right.
Let's move to the.
I can't start Rosen. What do you mean?
Yeah, but TJ Hawkinson's basically on IR anyway. It's not like you were playing him.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So let's move to the big news of the week. So we have some Stephon Diggs rumors that are actually pretty interesting. So he missed Wednesday's practice for non-injury reasons. He came out and said today, Thursday, it was because he wasn't feeling well, but he also added something that was pretty ominous. And that was, I can't sit up here and act like everything is okay. Then they asked him about the trade rumors, and there was the quote, "There's truth to all rumors. I won't get into that." The Vikings did tell other teams that he is not available for trade unless they actually absolutely get blown away with a trade offer. He was back at practice on Thursday, but guys, I just made a trade in the Pro-Am. I traded Will Fuller for Stephon Diggs. It was actually offered to me. I thought that was pretty awesome. But there's no guarantee that Diggs plays even this week. So, Hoos, do you expect him to play?
I do. I do expect him to play. And I just made a trade for him as well. I think I traded a lot, but I did get Christian McCaffrey in it as well. So I got Diggs and Christian McCaffrey. I gave up Keenan Allen stuff for me to do. But I gave up Keenan Allen, McCoy, and my boy, Demarcus Robinson. But I was hurting at running back and getting
That was a good trade.
So that's just delish. So
can we talk about this catch that Will Dissly just made in the second quarter here?
I mean, he's been making catches. He made a catch in the first quarter too. That was just, why was he so wide open? I don't know. Like,
yeah, Will Dissly, you figure somebody would start giving him some attention out there. But I'm okay with him not. I got him in enough leagues.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm not complaining. That's exactly what I tweeted. I was like, why is he that open? But hey, I'm not complaining. I've got him in quite a few leagues.
Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn said that Melvin Gordon is, quote, definitely part of the game plan for this week. What kind of split do you expect to see, Mike? Do you think it's going to be 50-50 Melvin and then Eckler / Jackson?
I don't think we'll see any Jackson. I think it might be like I'd say probably closer to 60-40, maybe even 70-30 Gordon to Eckler split. I think he'll just pace back in just like regular. I don't think they're going to hesitate too much on him.
I'm thinking more 60-40, and then in a week or two, it'll be 70-30, 80. It'll be back to how it was.
Right.
I think Eckler's going to get more work. just for this.
Than he already was getting?
No, just for this week. I still think Eckler will get more work than Gordon. I think he will outscore Gordon this week as well, but I don't have it that way going forward. Just my rankings this week.
Let me put it this way: if you have Melvin Gordon, are you playing him?
Oh, of course, I'm playing him in our League of Records, in our Dynasty League of Records. So, yeah, I'm definitely starting him. I'm just not expecting him to give me RB1 numbers.
All right. Yeah, I'm not either. I would expect RB2. Mm-hmm. I think Melvin Gordon is going to be better than Eckler, but that's just me. John Ross was placed on the IR on Wednesday, so he's going to be out at least 8 weeks. The Bengals are now down to Tyler Boyd and a mix of other random guys. They're going to be working out a bunch of players. How do you feel about Auden Tate? 6 targets, 4 receptions, and 50 yards last week. Is he someone that you are picking up? And if so, is he in your lineup this week?
I mean, he's one of those guys that, and maybe not, because, I was going to say he's one of those guys that you wake up and you miss out on other guys, but he's probably picking up. Someone probably spent a good amount of fab on him with Ross missing. AJ Green, man, he just keeps, like I referenced this on our last show. You're talking to Ben Baby from the Cincinnati Bengals from the ESPN. I was like, yeah, we're going to see AJ Green next week, right? No, he's weeks away. I'm like, what do you mean? He looks good. He's running. He's weeks away. I'm like, Jesus. So, yeah, Auden Tate's going to see targets. He's going to see more than 6 targets, and he's a big guy. So he's not the sexiest player ever, but I think he could get it done. He's certainly a fine flex. He's like a poor man's Demarcus Robinson, I want to say. Dalton hasn't looked that bad this year, other than that game, which the line just didn't exist. So, but yeah, I do like Auden Tate. I think he could be a decent flex for you.
Thanks for keeping it short.
Yeah, don't ask me questions if you want to keep it
short. Mike, are you sick of holding AJ Green on your IR spot? Because I sure as hell am.
I am, but I'm not. I mean, if you're going to have an IR spot and if you're going to waste an IR spot on somebody, it might as well be AJ Green. I mean, to me, who else are you going to put on there, or who else are you going to stick and stash? I guess, Tyreek Hill if you had him, or Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is a mustache right now, by the way. Get him in every league if you haven't yet. But I'm good with AJ Green. I mean, I feel like he's that kind of an impact player that if you do wait on him, he's going to make a huge difference on your team. I mean, it's AJ friggin' Green. He's a wide receiver 1 for a reason. So I think he's worth it. It sucks. I'd rather put him in my lineup.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, for what? I'd rather put him in my damn lineup and start getting some wins.
Him and not even been mad about it.
Yeah, I have a league where I also have Tyreek Hill, and I know Hill's going to be coming back at some point. So it's just I only have one IR spot, so I have to have an out player on my bench the entire time.
Right, and I mean,
it's just frustrating.
100%.
It is. I mean, I have Hill and Green in a lot of leagues myself, and so it's the same thing. Both my IR spots are clogged up with these guys, and I mean, in a lot of these leagues, I'm like 2-2 or things like that,
fine.
maybe even a 3-1. And I'm good at that.
Yeah, I'm good with
like, that. Smile. I'm like, ooh, when these boys come back, I'm going to be viciously deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Deadly.
Let's move on here. Pat Shurmur said Thursday that Saquon Barkley's return on Sunday is possible, so that's good news. We had a bunch of relevant did not practices on Thursday. Juju Smith-Schuster with the toe, James Conner with his ankle, Deshaun Jackson with an abdomen injury, Marlon Mack with an ankle, Devontae Adams with a toe injury. A lot of big names, a lot of big fantasy names did not practice on Thursday. And we're going to talk about these guys as we run through the matchups. But before we get into that, today's show is sponsored by Pristine Auction, a great memorabilia website with hundreds of daily auctions every single day. I mean, that's what daily means, right? It's free to join and free to bid, and you only pay when you win. And right now you can get $5 off your first item by entering promo code SleeperWire when you sign up. Visit pristineauction.com to get this deal. That's PRISTINE auction.com. You guys ready to jump into the matchups?
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Thursday Night Football, we are watching the game right now. It is almost halftime. We're inside the 2-minute warning. Seahawks up 14-6. Russell Wilson looks great. Todd Gurley fumbled. No touchdowns for the Rams. It's not pretty for the LA side of the ball.
Yeah, Cups, you're letting me down right now, Cup. Gurley, you're letting me down. Woods,
For a second.
you let me down. It's not pretty.
It's a second half team. They'll get it going. They'll still win this game, I think. I think the Rams still win by about 8. But
Let's hope so, because this has all the ingredients to be a great Thursday Night Football game.
It really
hasn't
should
been
be.
that so far, though.
But it's Thursday night, so
I know. It's
Yeah.
a Thursday night division game.
Right.
But you would think 2, 3-1 teams, it should be pretty good. Seahawks have been fun to watch.
oh yeah.
And let's watch Jason Myers miss a field goal here. That's what
That's
I loved seeing him do when he was a Jag.
He is not who he was last year.
Yep, he missed it.
Oh God.
Love it. Anyways, before we move into the
He's
weekend
hurting me right
games,
now.
what, Jason Myers?
Yeah, he's causing me negative points right now. So
Well,
I
sucks
don't
to
know
suck.
why I'm starting him though. So that is my own fault. That is my own fault.
yeah,
I shouldn't be starting him. I should have had Joey Sly in my roster by now, or the gay dude, the gay kicker. He's not gay, but his last name's Gay. You know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I picked up Gay in a few leagues.
Yeah, he's killing.
We're out of the Goskowski owner. I went from Goskowski to Gay.
I should have even grabbed Nugent today. That was just very bad on my part. I'm sorry. We're talking too much about kickers. Go ahead.
Yep, we are. Before we move into the weekend matchups, I want to mention the other shows that we have here at Sleeper Wire. The shows that we do during the week, we have the Sunday Blitz every Sunday that is run by Dirty Jobs Mike himself. 3-hour live show answering your start-sit questions at the last minute. Monday, Great Debate. We have the weekend recap that also comes out Monday. We have the Wednesday live mail sack and the weekend preview show as well. And we also did a new show this past Tuesday. Mike, this was your idea. Why don't you talk about it for a couple seconds?
It was the Sleeper Waiver Show. It's a chance for people to call in, get last minute waiver questions answered, and it went off pretty good. I mean, we had a lot of the traditional listeners, a few as well as a few new ones. It was pretty fun. So I think we're gonna try it again this Tuesday and see if it can't take off.
Basically like the Sunday Blitz for waiver wires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where we,
Awesome.
It's like I said, we go with who do we grab as opposed to who do you start, and then we shift back to who do we start right, and then the next day on the mail sack. So
Love
we
it.
got it all
Let's-
here.
We're going to try it one more week and see how it goes, and hopefully it's a huge success. Sunday afternoon games. We're going to kick it off with the London game. Yes, we have a London game this year, but this London game is not taking place at like 6 in the morning or 9 in the morning or some weird time. They moved it, so it is at 1 p.m. Eastern this year, same time as all the other games. It is Bears at Raiders in London, so basically in Jacksonville, because that's Jacksonville's home stadium. So for the Bears, we have David Montgomery and Allen Robinson. And Mike, is that it?
I think so. I mean, Tariq Cohen, I feel like might be a sneaky play in a flex or something
Yeah, I
like
that
that.
this week.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Do you like Cohen with Chase Daniel at quarterback, though?
I
I
do.
do. Yeah,
more than. Yeah, I actually like it more.
more than with Trubisky. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
Okay. All right. On the Raiders side of the ball, some more relevant fantasy stuff. We've got Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Tyrell Williams, who's basically scores a touchdown each week. He is likely going to be out, though. So Hunter Renfrow, I think he's a guy who would you say he is startable this week if Tyrell is out? I don't want to say start Hunter Renfrow, but if you're in a 14-team league and you're looking for a flex and you have Tyrell,
yeah.
is he someone that you would consider starting?
Yeah, I'm starting I'm starting. Not and at this point, I don't want to make it sound like it's bad because I'm actually happy because he scored 2 touchdowns in a row. I'm starting Zach Pascal, and I'm happy to do it. So I think he's. I don't want to say he could be Zach Pascal scoring a bunch of touchdowns, not a bunch, but he could go out there and score a touchdown and get you like 10 points or something like that. Sure, I think he's a decent start in a deep league. This is a 16-team league I'm talking about. So yeah, you're digging deep in the crate when you're starting Zach Pascal. But yeah, he hasn't been a bad start for me. So yeah, I feel like Renfro could be that same mold if he does miss, and it looks like he is going to. So
yeah, I like it. We also have Darren Waller for the Raiders. He is first in receptions for tight end, third in yards for tight ends. Hasn't found the end zone yet, but he is having a monster season. I believe he's also first in targets as well. Someone who's definitely a must start. I do have one league where I can't start Darren Waller, which sucks. It's a league I drafted Travis Kelce in, and I got Darren Waller on after the first week on waivers, and there's no flex.
And you're not starting Waller over Kelce?
What's that?
And you're not starting Waller over Kelce?
No, I'm not starting Waller over Kelce.
Okay.
That's the one guy I might not start Waller over.
Especially in Chicago or against Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's getting so much targets. He's Jared Cook in that offense of last year, who was the number
he's way
one.
Better than Cook was.
Yeah, but if he's way better than Cook, you know where Cook finished last year, right?
Number 2, right?
Right.
2 or 4.
He could have finished 1 in some leagues, actually. I think he was 1 in some leagues, depending on your scoring. But yeah, he was at least 2. I don't think he was 4 in any of them, but he was at least 2. So I think Waller's definitely more athletic. He hasn't scored any touchdowns, but that could come. So I don't know. Kelce, he's good, but I don't know.
Would you try to flip Kelce?
Oh, 100%. I'd definitely flip Kelce and keep Waller all year long because he's going to be a top 3 he's going to be a top 3 tight end for you the rest of the season. Cooper Kupp, thank you, boy. That's my boy.
Cooper Kupp touchdown. There we go.
Yeah, buddy.
Right after Jared Goff got a shot right to the knees.
I would play Kelce this week, but then I would try to trade Kelce next week. I think he'll be worth more. And not only that, I just don't like Chicago, and Khalil Mack is out there to prove something this weekend. He said, I'm personally angry about John Gruden trading me. I am going to make him miss me. I'm going to show him why they done that. And when Khalil Mack says things like that, I'm like, oh my God, I'd be terrified. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I was Derek Carr.
I'm glad I have him in an IDP league. Let's move on, though. New York Jets at Philadelphia Eagles. That was enough time on Bears Raiders. Sam Darnold is probable for this week. He has been practicing in full. Hopefully he's not going to be kissing any of his teammates and spreading that mono around the locker room. Got Le'Veon Bell, Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder, and Chris Herndon with the Jets coming off the bye week. I guess Chris Herndon not for playing for this week, but for picking up for next week because he's still suspended a week, right?
Yeah, he's still out another week. He's
suspended for 4 games.
Right,
not
4
for 4
games,
weeks.
not for 4 weeks. Yeah. I did some people asking, hey, should I start Herndon this week? I'm like, dude, he's not playing. What do you mean?
Only if you're playing against me.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're playing against me, absolutely fire him up.
Just came down with mono, too. So
Le'Veon Bell is having a hell of a season so far. He's averaging 19 carries per game. All running backs who have in the 40s and 50s in carries, Bell has 56, I believe. They've all played 4 games. Bell would have more than 70 attempts if he kept up this pace. So he's getting a lot of work, which is awesome. Carson Wentz on the Eagles side of the ball has finished as a top 10 quarterback each of the first 4 weeks. Miles Sanders kind of took a back seat last week to Jordan Howard, who had 3 total touchdowns. Also got Alshon Jeffrey. Deshaun Jackson, as we mentioned before, is questionable. Zach Ertz hasn't found the end zone yet, but we're not worried about him, right?
No, not at all.
I said at the beginning of the season I didn't think that he would be as fantasy viable as he's been. And I think we're seeing that now. I think that just he's got so many weapons. And Dallas Goedert's not a threat to be taken lightly. I really feel like they're fading from the Ertz side of things. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that's something to worry about. I do.
I mean, his
I'm gonna
stats
brag
are
and
pretty
just say
good for
that
this
Cooper
season.
Cup, I had him in my top 12 at the beginning of the season. So just gonna
Yeah,
brag
same
right
here.
now.
I love it.
Sorry, we can continue
Well,
the show.
let's continue the show. Let's talk Jaguars at Panthers. So we of course have Uncle Rico / White Goodman himself, Gardner Minshew, Leonard Fournette, DJ Shark, and D.D. Westbrook, the relevant guys for the Jaguars. And Mike, we were having this argument earlier, and I want to bring this up. Leonard Fournette, he has 404 rushing yards on the season, which is third most after Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. Did also have an 81-yard rush. He kind of ran out of steam. He looked a little Eddie Lacy-esque at the end of that run. But he's got the sixth most carries out of all running backs. He hasn't found the end zone, but I think it's coming soon. You don't like Fournette, even though he's, top 5, top 10 in running back stats. Why?
Well, so the thing I don't like about Leonard Fournette, he has 404 yards. He's the third best running back out there, right? But he got 224 of those yards against the Broncos. So that's 180 yards spread out across 3 games. He is catching the ball, which is great, but he's just not putting it in the end zone. And he just seems sluggish. He doesn't seem like the Leonard Fournette that cuts and everything like that. I thought Raquel Armstead looked way better than he did. He looked a lot flashier.
I do agree with that.
Looked a lot faster. I feel like he can easily take this job because I don't think Leonard Fournette's out there trying to win football games like he used to be. So I don't know. That's just how I feel about Leonard Fournette. I avoided him in the draft. I'm avoiding him in the season, and I don't really feel like I'm disappointed. This is the first week that I feel like I might have made a mistake there. But even then, I mean, yeah, I guess 224 yards is pretty amazing.
I've been pretty happy with his production, given what the rest of the running backs have been doing. And you were able to get Leonard Fournette in the 3rd round, sometimes 4th round.
Yeah.
So he's in that Derrick Henry. Like if you waited and got, you just, I don't know, you got like Keenan Allen and I don't know who goes in the 1st round that's balling right now. Whatever wide receivers balling, and then you get Henry in the end of the 3rd, and then Fournette at the end of the 4th. I mean, you're probably 4-0. It's a good team. I mean, he's getting enough carries. I do agree with what Dirty's saying. Like, I mean, it's kind of in the same way like Darrell Williams and Damian. Darrell looks better, but they're going to give Damian the ball. They paid him $9 million. So they're going to give Fournette the ball. I mean, he's under his rookie scale. So, I mean, so is the other guy, but I think they're going to give him the ball a lot. I mean, he's getting targeted so much that you have to love his role. You don't love Fournette. You love his role. Like, you want backs to get this much work. And, like, no backs get this much work. He's getting all the work. And, you want him to be higher than 9, but that's where he is right now, and you kind of like it at this point, especially where you drafted him.
Yeah, I can't argue that. Like I said, it's just I have a personal vendetta against I just cannot stand him as a football player. He bothers me.
Fair enough.
Every time I put him in, the guy gets injured.
See, you were totally right about how late you can get Fournette. I've got a league where Fournette, now with Melvin coming back, is my RB4, which is ridiculous. So it was a keeper league. I took Hopkins in the 1st. I was able to keep Chubb for like a 12th round pick, which was awesome. So I've got Chubb. I also drafted Gurley in the 3rd. I've got drafted Fournette in the 4th, Melvin in the 5th. And I only have one flex, so I'm starting Gurley, Chubb, and Melvin. So Fournette is on my bench, which is pretty crazy to think about.
I mean, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, and you have
that's coming though.
Yeah, and you have Chubb that already is scored for. So those touchdowns will come through the air or on the ground. So they're using him enough where he will get those touchdowns. So he could finish even higher.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about Leonard Fournette like Mike is. Point I was trying to make. Let's move to the Panthers side of the ball. We got to pick up the pace because we a lot of games to cover and we are not moving very fast. We got Kyle Allen, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Greg Olsen. I'm not real excited about DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel with Kyle Allen at quarterback. Let's talk about the other guys, though. Christian McCaffrey is leading all running backs in carries, targets, receptions, and total yards, averaging 102.8 rushing yards per game. That's not even including his receiving yards. That's just rushing yards per game. Greg Olsen, the man still doing it. We're going to leave last week against Houston out. First 3 weeks, 9, 9, and 7 targets, 4, 6, and 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns on the season. He played 97% of snaps last week. For a guy who feels as old as Greg Olsen is, 97% of snaps, that's huge. He's a guy who is definitely surprising me how well he's playing. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I actually picked him up in quite a few leagues just because I wait so late on a tight end, and that guy was available on waivers in a lot of leagues. So, it's refreshing to see him just come back, be the same Greg Olsen that he's always been, Mr. Reliable. I'll stand there and catch touchdowns. So I like seeing it. It's good to see it out of the old guy. The old guy that's younger than me.
Vikings at Giants. We got Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, who had a huge 2 catches for 6 yards last week. Stephon Diggs, we talked about him at the beginning. Dalvin Cook has been extremely efficient this season. He's 8th in carries, but 2nd in rushing yards with 410, behind only McCaffrey's 411. So he's only 1 behind Christian McCaffrey. 4th highest yards per carry. He's just a stud. He's leading all running backs with 5 rushing touchdowns. He's got 15 catches on 18 targets for 114 receiving yards as well. It's an 83.3% catch percentage. Dalvin Cook just been amazing. Now, at this point in the season, if you had a trade offer, Dalvin Cook for Christian McCaffrey, who would you rather have?
Christian McCaffrey for me, but it's close.
It's hard. I guess I'd say McCaffrey just because I have McCaffrey coming in as my RB1, so I'm going to stick to it.
Stick with the guns, huh?
Yeah.
I think if Dalvin Cook goes off against the Giants and McCaffrey struggles, I don't want to say struggles because he doesn't ever really struggle, but has maybe like an fringe RB 2-3 game against the Jaguars, you might be able to trade Dalvin Cook for Christian McCaffrey straight up.
Yeah. That's true.
Especially to a Vikings fan.
Yeah, 100% to a Vikings
fan. Saquon Barkley might be back. Wayne Gallman had a monster game last week. 18 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. 6 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown through the air. Sterling Shepard has been solid as a receiver. Evan Engram has been a little up and down, but he's put up a couple huge weeks as a tight end. Golden Tate is back this week. How much do you see him cutting into Sterling Shepard's work, Hoos?
I don't necessarily see him cutting into. You talked about this on the last show. I think he's cutting into Ingram's work. I think he's tailor made for this offense. He's a yard after catch guy, and Evan Engram, he's the number 1 tight end right now in the league over all those other tight ends we talked about. He's just been balling outrageous. He didn't ball out so much the last game, so I think Evan Ingram's going to be the one that gets hurt by this. They're all going to kind of cannibalize each other, though. But Dan Jones, man, Danny Dimes, whatever you want to call him, the guy that everybody laughed about, he's getting it done right now. And, I really like Golden Tate. I do.
All right. Leave it to the Giants fan to love Golden Tate. No, I'm just kidding. I love Golden Tate, too.
You love Golden Tate.
I've always been a Golden Tate guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure have. Let's move on. Falcons at Texans. Got a lot of fantasy firepower here. Starting with the Falcons, Matt Ryan, Devonta Freeman, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and yes, I am including Mohamed Sanu after I had him in this week's Great Debate, and Austin Hooper. Hooper is having a phenomenal season as tight end. He's 4th in targets, 2nd in receptions, 4th in receiving yards, and 4th in fantasy scoring. I did not see this happening. Did you, Mike?
Actually, we had a tight end special at the beginning of the season. Hoos and I did, and I had Austin Hooper as my number 3 tight end for the season. Yeah. So I was pretty high on Austin Hooper this year. I thought
we had Anthony from the Fantasy Fan on that episode, and I believe Mike and him both had him as their top 3, and I
Yeah,
had
well,
him, I believe,
Anthony
at
had him
5.
before. Yeah.
So we were all
Yeah.
very high on Austin Hooper. We all were very
Yeah.
high on Austin Hooper. Actually, that's
Forget where mine
actually a
were
show
going
where we
in
got
the
a bad
season.
review because Mike said OJ Howard would be back this year. And what do you know? OJ Howard's back this year. So maybe you want to go take down that review, guy, whoever you are.
Nope. Why don't you post it publicly so we can all see it? We know exactly who you are.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, don't take it down. Own it. We say stuff on the record. We're supposed to own our mistakes. Why don't you do the same?
Yes, sir.
And Mohamed Sanu, 9 for 91 last week. Sanu or Ridley this week?
I'm going to go Ridley.
I think I'm going Ridley, too. I think he has a bounce-back week.
All right. I think Ridley as well. But I think Sanu is a good PPR option. Let's talk about the Texans. Deshaun Watson, Carlos Hyde, DeAndre Hopkins. I guess we'll talk about him. Will Fuller. Let's hope that Watson breaks out this week against the Atlanta Falcons. They are at home. Let's hope that DeAndre Hopkins starts getting the ball. Last 3 weeks, 8 targets for 5 receptions and 40 yards. 7 for 6 and 67, and then 8 for 5 and 41. No touchdowns the last 3 weeks. After starting off the season with 8 catches on 13 targets for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns, he has really cooled off. He has not been the wide receiver 1 that you drafted him to be. Is this week at home against the Falcons the time to do it?
I think so. I think the guy is probably the best target that you can go for right now. I mean, if you're going to buy anybody low, go for DeAndre Hopkins. If the owner of him is just like a numbers guy and just sitting there looking at like, oh, what's he done over the past few weeks, man, you might be able to move DeAndre Hopkins because I don't think you'll be able to do that after this week.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Let's move on. Buccaneers at Saints. Got a bunch of fantasy firepower in this one too. Jameis Winston, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin for the Bucs. We're not going to talk about OJ Howard because, as that review said, we're wrong for saying he was bad. Jameis Winston, 385 passing yards and 4 touchdowns with only 1 interception last week. A very non-Jameis game for him. No, I was kidding. He does this, every 5 weeks, and he'll go for 85 with 1 touchdown and 4 picks next week.
But he did that already.
Does he? He's going to do it again. Does he break 300 yards and at least 3 touchdowns this week on the road against the Saints, Mike?
I think so. I think that Saints defense can be beat. I think they can be beat in the air anyways. And I feel like, to me, Jameis Winston is good about going about 2 or 3 good weeks. And then he drops off for 4 weeks. So I think this is going to be another up week for him. I think next week will be another up week, and then I'd sit on him for about 4 weeks, and then 3 weeks again, 4 weeks.
So the Bucs are going to need – Bucs are about to trade for Fitzpatrick.
Oh,
That's
no.
what they need. We need some Fitzy back in Tampa.
Chris Godwin is an absolute beast. 26 catches on 34 targets and 4 touchdowns this season through 4 weeks. Went 12 for 172 and 2 last week on 14 targets in that huge win against the Rams, 55-40, I believe the score was. 95 points scored in that game. Mike Evans, 18 catches, 368 yards, and 4 touchdowns as well. Who would you rather have going forward, Mike Evans or Chris Godwin? And I want to put this in this context. Say you had both of them. Would you trade Evans for an RB1 and then go with Chris Godwin, like maybe for Mixon or something like that? Or would you rather trade Godwin for, say, an RB2 and keep Evans?
Rather get the 1 if I can get it. I'm going to go to the owner and I'm going to go to, say, Jason, who is a Bucs fan, and say, which one of these guys do you want? Give me McCaffrey and I'll give you Evans and another piece, or Godwin and another piece. And hopefully that gets it done.
Yeah,
well, yeah, if you're getting McCaffrey. Yeah.
Yeah. That's who I'm targeting for when I'm giving those guys up. They're balling. They're going to both finish top 12. They will. They both will finish top 12.
Ooh, I feel like the guy that I like there is Godwin. I just feel like I like Godwin more. I feel like Godwin can get more done with the football. I do love me Mike Evans, but I feel like if I had to move one of them, I'd try to move Mike Evans.
I do agree with that. I think Godwin's going to be more consistent.
Yep.
See, I feel the opposite. I feel like Mike Evans is going to be more consistent, and he's going to have a bit more big games. And you can probably get just as much for Chris Godwin as you can for Mike Evans right now. I don't think you'll be able to sell Godwin higher.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 100%. Like you go and you tell them, like, look, I got both of these guys. Who do you want more? But I'm still targeting, say, a McCaffrey, a Saquon, or something like that. Not Saquon because he could be weeks away, but a top guy, top 3 guy, and offer these guys. I mean, you should be able to get it done. Maybe add a piece.
On the Saints side of the ball, we really have Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I don't think we really have anyone else we have to talk about. Kamara, a week after 16 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown, and 9 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. 17 carries for 69 and 0, and 3 for 20 and 0 through the air. Saints beat Dallas 12-10. Kamara's got to have a better day against the Bucs, right, Mike?
You would think so, but man, that Bucs defense has really been kind of torturing people lately. So I don't really know if there's going to be a whole lot going on with Teddy Bridgewater standing back at the helm. So I actually have Tampa Bay as one of my higher ranked defenses this week.
Disley out here looking like a beast. Oh, never mind. That was Higbee. Sorry.
Was that Luke?
Looking at the wrong team. I just looked up and saw a big white guy make a catch and carry it down the field. I was like, oh shit, it's got to be Disley.
I was like, man, the Rams are on my screen over here.
Was that Gerald Everett or Higbee?
No, Higbee.
Oh, Everett's black. Higbee, yeah.
Never mind. That was weird. Bills at Titans. Seamless segue. Josh Allen is getting in some limited work after his concussion, so might be Matt Barkley. I did pick up Matt Barkley in the Scott Fish Bowl, actually. Wow. I felt gross doing it. I didn't want to do it. We got a Todd Gurley touchdown, by the way. Did not want to do it, but I do have Josh Allen and Derek Carr, and I had Eli Manning, so I can't play Eli. Yeah, there's nobody else out there. If Josh Allen is out, I had to pick up Barkley, which sucked to spend fab on him, but
oh, I was going to say I had to pay $100 fab for Chase Daniels this week. Yeah, so I feel you, man. Like, I feel you.
I think I spent 24 for Barkley.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Not happy, but oh well. We also got Frank Gore and Devin Singletary in the backfield. John Brown and Cole Beasley, both very good fantasy wide receivers this season. Cole Beasley, I didn't realize this. He's got the 9th most receptions for wide receivers right now, but while also having the 30th most receiving yards. And that's what you get with Cole Beasley. PPR, right now, he's a must-add if he's out there. Standard, I'd let him stay on the waiver wire personally, but PPR, must-add. John Brown, on the other hand, 13th most receiving yards and tied for 14th in catches with 23. It's actually tied with Julio Jones and Larry Fitzgerald. John Brown has been amazing. Anything else you guys want to add?
I'm sad that Zay Jones and Robert Foster was completely buried after they had such a great offseason. But I mean, they're paying. They're featuring the guys that they're paying. So I guess
that's true. Yeah. Follow the money.
Yep.
I'm with you. As an owner of both those guys in a lot of my dynasty leagues, I feel you, who's for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, there's really nothing. I don't think this is going to be a very exciting game.
Right.
I think very lackluster would be the word I'd use for it, and especially Josh Allen not coming back. He hasn't cleared protocol by now. I don't think we're going to see him this week.
I wouldn't expect it.
Moving to the Titans side of the ball, Marcus Mariota, Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown with a huge fantasy day. Delaney Walker did not practice this week with that knee injury. Really, the only person I am interested in playing is Derrick Henry. He had a big day against the Falcons, 27 carries for 100 yards. First time breaking 100 yards this season, on the ground anyway. And that saved his day since it was also his first day without a touchdown. He does have 4 total touchdowns on the season. Would either of you start any other Titan aside from Derrick Henry?
I can't imagine I would unless it's like a multi-flex, like more than 2 flexes. He just doesn't see enough targets. His big games have been 3 for 100, 3 for 94 and 2 touchdowns. Like, you can't count on that. You just can't. Like, I know it's nice to see it on your team, but who started A.J. Brown last week? No one started him. You might have thrown him in a DFS and you won $100,000 or some shit like that, because it's like no one was plugging him in, you know?
Yeah. Moving on, Cardinals at Bengals. Cardinals really got Kyler Murray, who's a decent start. I think who's going to talk about him a little later. Hint, hint. David Johnson, who has the 25th most carries out of all running backs this season. He's not getting a lot of work on the ground, but he is making up for that in the passing game. 21 receptions, which is third out of running backs, 2 receiving touchdowns as well. And Larry Fitzgerald is having a super solid season too, especially for a guy who was drafted so late. Sometimes, like, you're getting Larry Fitzgerald in the double-digit rounds, you know?
He was on waivers on one of our on the mail cycle yesterday. It was like, what the heck?
Oh, crazy. Yeah, pick him up no matter what.
It was crazy.
That's ridiculous. There are some Bengals I think are going to be very valid plays this week. Andy Dalton, Joe Mixon. Mixon's always going to be in your lineup. Tyler Boyd with John Ross out is a great start. Auden Tate, decent spot start. Mm-hmm. Tyler Eifert, though, is a very solid streaming option.
I love it.
Cardinals are atrocious against tight ends, giving up by far the most fantasy points over the first 4 weeks. Tyler Eifert, if you're a guy who, you know, if you stream tight ends and maybe you don't want Vance McDonald as your starting tight end anymore, go get Eifert. Even if it's just for 1 week, go pick him up.
Yeah, and they're so bad that I'm not telling you start this guy because he hasn't been targeted at all in the past 3 games. But in a DFS, CJ Uzomah, or if you're in a super flexy league, you have 5-6 flexes or whatever. You know, he could. I mean, yeah, they're so bad that Eifert or Uzomah, one of those guys is going to catch touchdowns.
It's not going to be Uzomah.
It could be. Don't start him, but DFS play him. You could win you some money.
Let's move on. Patriots at Redskins. Patriots, we got Tom Brady, Sonny Michel, James White, and Philip Dorsett. And did you guys hear any rumor about, not any rumor, but did you hear more updates on Edelman and Gordon? They did not practice on Wednesday. I didn't see anything on Thursday. Did they practice Thursday?
As far as Gordon, I believe he gave a limited practice. He says he should be ready to go. But he is really banged up, though. Like I think
fingers crossed for him.
He's like 70% out there. And that might be kind.
I was going to say, in Julian Edelman, he just doesn't miss football games. He's good to go.
Yeah.
Well, unless he does PEDs, then he misses football games.
Right. Julian.
Well, that's how he does football games. He's on the team.
It's in his name.
Philip Dorsett, also a wide receiver 2 on the season. Keep that in mind. He's been pretty good.
Yes, sir.
Moving to the Redskins side of the ball, Dwayne Haskins might be getting his first start of his career, which would be a horrible way to begin your career against the Patriots with no one around you. So maybe him. Good luck. Chris Thompson, Adrian Peterson, Terry McLaurin. I actually felt comfortable dropping AP this week. For the first time, I dropped him in a league. And you know what? I didn't feel gross about it. So, yeah, I think he's someone who can be dropped if you need him to be. I think it was Nyheim Hines. And this was, I'm not playing AP, but if Mac is out, the Colts are going to need Hines against the Chiefs.
Right.
So that's where I was going with that. Terry McLaurin, like I said, having a great season. Out last week, but he did score a touchdown the first 3 weeks. Chris Thompson has the 3rd most targets and is tied for 4th most receptions for running backs on the season. It does not feel like that is a true statement. That feels like I'm playing one of those games where I say like 4 truths and a lie, and that's the lie. He's a good PPR option against the Patriots, or is he a good PPR option against the Patriots? Or do you think they're going to take him out of the game, Mike?
I think he's going to get taken out of the game. I mean, the Patriots have been so solid on defense this year. I'm fading them almost as tough as I'm fading anybody who's playing Chicago.
They can't take Chris Thompson out the game. He's not someone you can take out of a game.
I'm gonna have to cut.
I'm not
Husoff
trying
now
to be.
because
I'm not trying to like.
He's
talk
gonna
him up
talk about Chris Thompson for
No,
45
I'm saying,
minutes if I
listen,
don't stop
he
him.
cannot be taken out of the game just because. What does he do? He fades to the left, goes up right. How are you taking him out of the game? Like, he's gonna catch a quick pass and get a yard or two. So how are you taking him out the game?
Yeah, they're gonna give up that one catch for 1 yard or two.
So they're just gonna give.
They're not
all
gonna
of
let
the
him
whatever
get
else.
that catch and run for 40 yards.
I don't know. Chris Thompson.
I'm still starting him over AP. Yeah.
We'll give you a Chris Thompson.
Yep. Ravens at Steelers. Supposedly should be a lot of fantasy stuff in this one. Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Marquise Brown, the GOAT Willie Snead, and Mark Andrews for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, flat out stud. He's leading all quarterbacks in rushing attempts and rushing yards and fantasy points. He's tied with Pat Mahomes with 10 touchdowns on the season, only 2 interceptions, 238 rushing yards. And the next closest is Josh Allen with 131. So he has 107 more yards than the next closest rushing.
Jeez.
Pretty
Just
impressive.
Now, granted, one of those was like 120 yards in one game, but still,
It counts.
that's crazy. Mark Ingram, huge day in week 3 with 3 total touchdowns, 12 for 71 and a catch last week, which wasn't a huge killer for someone who, let's face it, you drafted Mark Ingram to be your RB3 or your flex. He has not disappointed at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who did. I mean, the highest person on our staff, I think, is Lucas, who had him top 8. So nobody saw him being this good.
No.
Right. He's ripping it up.
Yep, killing it. Willie Snead, end zone again. Looking like Jerry Rice out there. Ball State chirp chirp.
Willie Snead, Jerry Rice 2.0.
Right?
Yep, that's it.
3.0.
That's it. Mark Andrews, 4 for 31 and a touchdown last week. He had 2 down weeks relative down weeks after starting 8 for 108 and a touchdown and then 8 for 112 and a touchdown. This is a division game, so I'm going to ask you guys a little Andrews or this other guy, and I just want to name Andrews or Olsen. Mike, we'll start with you.
Andrews.
Who's?
Hang on, I'm just pulling it up. Andrews.
Andrews or Austin Hooper?
Hooper this week for me.
Hooper.
Hooper for me. Andrews or Darren Waller in London. Might have that jet lag.
Andrews.
Andrews for me too.
All right. I think I'm taking Waller there. That was a good one. I thought it was going to be Waller for sure.
Yeah. They're one spot away.
Okay. Yeah, so it's splitting hairs.
Yep.
Let's move to the Steelers side of the ball. We got James Conner, who is banged up, and if he is out this week, then Jalen Samuels becomes 100% a must start. Juju having an awful start to the season. Sell high if you can, but do you think you can still sell high on Juju like you could have after week 1?
Yeah, you got to sell him to a fan. You got to sell him to a Steelers fan. I don't think you can. Someone will not high, but you can get something for him still. Someone will still pay. You're gonna go to the winning team and just take advantage of the situation. You're gonna be just fine. But yeah.
2 more afternoon games here. We got Broncos at Chargers. Joe Flacco, Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman. Those 2 running backs right there. It's basically a 50-50 split each week. Also got Cortland Sutton and Emmanuel Sanders. I want to talk about these 2 guys just briefly. Cortland Sutton is the wide receiver 14 in PPR right now, and that is just behind Emmanuel Sanders, who is the wide receiver 12 in PPR. Are both of these guys must starts at this point? I lean yes.
I think so.
Flexing,
yeah, I mean,
Flexing
until they
both.
prove that they're not putting up those points, you got to play them.
Yeah, I'm flexing them both.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Chargers side of the ball, Phillip Rivers, Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. Mike Williams has been limited this week with an injury, like he is always injured, it seems like. Talked about Melvin Gordon a little bit earlier. You rolling him out there? I don't see how you can't roll him out there. I'm not leaving Melvin Gordon on my bench. Keenan Allen right now is the number one wide receiver in fantasy. He's first in targets, first in receptions, and first in yards. Just having a great season. Someone who has to be in your lineup at all times. Not really too much we have to say about this game, though, is there?
Not really. Start your Chargers, get them out there. Eckler, he's going to take a step back, but I still feel like he's worth a flex start. Yeah, I'm starting him in my flex. I'm not giving him RB1, RB2.
Yeah, that's fine.
Green Bay Packers at Dallas Cowboys. On the Packers side of the ball, we got Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, who did not practice, got that toe injury. I think he is officially doubtful now, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's playing.
Or is he still questionable?
He's still
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
He's gonna be out.
Questionable? Okay. Well, if he doesn't play, Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Geronimo Allison?
Jay Kumaro.
Jay Kumaro.
MVS. Even though it's probably going to be
Allison. I'm feeling Geronimo. This one.
Yeah, Geronimo. It's probably going to be Geronimo because they're going to key in on MVS. So I'm switching to Geronimo.
Yeah. I have no idea how to predict these two guys. This is more just like a gut feeling.
Right.
Jimmy Graham looks like a must-start guy right now.
Yeah, I mean you have to. He was fifth coming into the season as far as receptions for tight end, and he's already tied his touchdowns from last year. So, yeah, you gotta love Jimmy Graham. He only had 2 touchdowns last year, and he's already got that now. So.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is wanting to find him in the red zone. I'm liking me some Jimmy Graham this year a lot.
Yeah, go grab him if he's out there. 6 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. That's great from a tight end, and he's a great tight end to have if Devontae Adams misses time. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Jason Witten on the Cowboys side of the ball. Dak was pretty terrible last week. 223 for 0 touchdowns and a pick, 1 carry for 7 yards. The Packers are no slouch. This week, who would you rather play, Deshaun Watson or Dak?
Oh, that's tough. Let me pull up.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I would say Watson off back, and yeah, my rankings say Watson.
All right. The other guys, I think you're all playing. Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, both of those guys for sure. If they're in, I think they're in your starting lineup. What about Jason Witten? Is he someone that you'd consider picking up and playing? Or not picking up and playing, but maybe, would you rather have, let's say, him or Vance McDonald?
Witten.
Is Vance healthy right now? I don't know if he is. If Vance is healthy, then I'm going to say Vance because Green Bay's been pretty good against the tight end as well, I think.
Well, let's just say let's pretend he is healthy.
So if he is, then McDonald. If not, we're going to win.
Okay. Let's move to Sunday Night Football. Colts at Chiefs. This one is going to be awesome, at least for me as a Colts fan. Looking forward to it. Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. Hint, hint. Marlon Mack did not practice on Thursday, but there's still a chance that he does play. If he doesn't, Nyheim Hines, I think, is someone who you have to pick up and probably someone you can definitely play on Sunday. What about Jordan Wilkins? If Mack doesn't play, Mike, is Wilkins someone that you'd be willing to play?
I don't think so. I feel like Nyheim Hines will be the primary benefactor of any action that goes on there. I just don't see Jordan Wilkins getting a lot of the snaps, the snap percentages there. So no, I don't think so. I feel like as gross as it is, I think I'd rather still have Kenyon Drake playing.
What about you, Hoos?
I think I roll with Wilkins just because Mack hasn't been catching the ball, and I don't know if they feel like Wilkins will or Hines will. I just don't think they're throwing in that short area. I think I'd much rather have Wilkins to kind of mimic that Mack role.
All right, let's talk about the wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton is back at practice, so that is good news for Sunday. Great news for Colts fans as well. It's pretty awesome.
Fantasy fans, don't just say Colts fans. We've been, man, it was a bad
Yeah, fantasy fans in general.
It was a bad week without him.
Yeah, Colts would have no chance against the Chiefs without T.Y.
Oh, heck yeah.
Now they'll at least be able to to put up 60 or 70 points.
I don't know about that one, but sure.
Fingers crossed. No, so we also got Chester Rogers, Zach Pascal, Deion Kane, and Paris Campbell, who is questionable.
Yeah.
When it comes to the tight end, Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron, I think both of them are guys that you can play this week. What about you, Mike?
I don't. I really
No?
feel like Eric. I don't. I like Jack Doyle a lot. I really do. But Eric Ebron, I feel, man, he was good last week because he caught the touchdown. He doesn't catch that touchdown. I think he puts up a goose egg for you, doesn't he? Wasn't he 1 for 1 with the touchdown? And, I mean, that saved your day. It was like a 50-yarder or whatever. But, man, I mean, I love Eric Ebron. I do. It just I don't see him getting the targets. And I feel like Jack Doyle's getting all the targets. I like Jack Doyle. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I'll play him. But I just don't think I can play Eric Ebron right now.
I've been playing Ebron in a 16-team league that I'm also in with Dirty. And just by default, because it's such a deep league that you have to start him. So I haven't been upset with it because he scored 2 touchdowns already for the year. So yeah, he hasn't been great, but he's been giving me some points. So yeah, I do think you can start them both.
Tell me the weeks that he hasn't scored a touchdown. What did he give you? I mean, he's just not getting the receptions.
No, he wasn't. You know what? The week 3 that he started, he gave me 7.7, which is basically tight end numbers. Like you
Fair.
can't,
Yeah,
like
I'll take
week
that.
1 he was bad. He only had one point, like 1.8. But week 2 was 11.5. Week 3 7.7. Week 4 13.8. Those are tight end numbers. I mean, I know we want the sexy numbers, but those numbers don't really happen for tight ends much. It's been happening lately because it's kind of like a trendy thing, but we don't know those numbers to happen. Like it just doesn't really occur usually. But the past couple of years, yeah, we've been seeing it. So yeah, I think you can start them both.
All right, let's talk about the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes, Damian Williams is back at full practice. LaShawn McCoy is limited, so it looks like D-Will's going to have that job to himself, basically. Wide receivers Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson, and Tyreek Hill is questionable, but he is no longer just a solid yes. He's going to be out. If Tyreek Hill is back, are you playing him?
Yes. I don't feel like they're going to rush a guy like him back. So if everybody says that he's good to go, I mean, if he's good enough to run, he's good enough to play, he's good enough to burn people. I love me some Tyreek Hill if he plays.
They don't need to rush him back. I don't think he plays. But if he does play, yeah, I'm starting him.
Say if he does, would you play Melvin Gordon or Tyreek Hill in your flex?
Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Just trying to gauge where we're at on that. And also Travis Kelce for the Chiefs as well. I think fire them all up. Every single one of them you can play. This one could have a lot of scoring. This is 2 good offenses with 2 mediocre defenses. So could be a shootout. Monday Night Football, last matchup of the week. We got Browns at 49ers. Honestly, Sunday Night Football, much more exciting than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Baker Mayfield, we got Nick Chubb, 3 touchdowns last week. Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry balled out before he got injured. OBJ, not a great week. Ricky Seals-Jones, though, got a touchdown. Is he a thing?
I mean, until Njoku comes back, I think so. I mean, he's going to give you Njoku-esque numbers, so, I mean, hit or miss.
What about Ricky Seals-Jones or OJ Howard?
Ooh, I think I'm playing Ricky Seals-Jones.
That's a gross question, I know.
It is.
RSJ.
Or what about Kyle Rudolph?
RSJ again.
Damn, all right. I did not think you would both answer RSJ.
Nah.
Love it. Nick Chubb, 20-plus carries each of the last 2 weeks. He's getting the work. Broke an 88-yard touchdown last week. And honestly, he looked insanely fast. He looked like the fastest guy in the NFL. I did not expect to come. And no one even got close to touching them. Go back and watch that replay. He looked so fast.
Yeah.
Well, in the very beginning of it, man, he just is like kind of running, and he looks like me running there for a second, just a guy casually on a jog, and then he hits the afterburners,
right.
And man, you're right. He's not even close to anybody. He's just gone.
No, he looks way faster than I thought he did.
Yeah.
49ers, last team we got to talk about. We got Jimmy Garoppolo, Tevin Coleman, Matt Brady, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. 4 running backs there. Dante Pettis at wide receiver, maybe a little Marquise Goodwin, and George Kittle. Pick a running back, each one of you. Pick one guy.
Tevin Coleman for me.
Matt Brady for who's?
I guess Coleman.
Oh, really? That's a surprise, too. I'm taking Coleman as well. George Kittle averaging about 6 catches and 54 yards through the first 3 weeks. They had the bye week last week, so we're not counting that one against him. Has not gotten into the end zone yet. This is not the George Kittle that people were hoping when they took him over Zach Ertz in the 3rd round. Seems like that George Kittle needs Nick Mullins and not Jimmy G. Still a must start, though, right?
You know, he just is missing a few of these big catches and big touchdowns. By either penalty or by just circumstance.
Yeah,
I think
too, right?
Yeah, he had a couple of them called back already. So, like I said, I mean, I think Kittle's going to be just fine. Yeah, I think
he's a good trade.
Did you take
actually
Kittle or Will Dissly?
Kittle.
I'll take Dissly.
I guess Dissly's playing right now, so it doesn't really matter. But Kittle or Ingram?
I'll still take Dissly over Kittle.
I'll take Kittle over Ingram rest of season.
Over Ingram?
I will.
Okay.
Kittle or Darren Waller?
Waller.
Give me Kittle rest of season.
Or Austin Hooper?
Hooper,
but it's thin. That's my line.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Waller and Hooper over George Kittle as well. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for the matchups. We are finally done. I feel like this was a long-ass show, but hey, sometimes it needs to be.
I'm just used to doing 3-hour shows.
Yeah, it feels long to me because I'm used to doing 12-minute shows. But
It's super long.
Let's hit our streaming quarterbacks before we give a shout-out to the other shows in the Sleeper Wire network. Once again, guys, you could probably predict this. I'm taking Jacoby Brissett as my streaming quarterback for like the 4th week in a row now. So yes, again, and I'll stop doing it when he stops producing and when he starts getting more owned. He's only 54% owned right now. He's very likely still out there. He's thrown 10 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks. That's a 40 touchdown pace. And this is a matchup where he'll have to throw. T.Y. may be back too. You guys know who else has 10 touchdowns? Lamar Jackson. You know who else? Pat Mahomes.
Pretty sweet.
Get out of here with that comparison. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean
the proof is there, man. The proof is there.
The proof is there for sure.
I'm going to go with, well, Dirty Job stole my guy, but I'm going to go with my second guy, which is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, he has not been fantastic for you. So if you guys drafted him and thought that he would be a top 5 quarterback, top 10, no, but I do think that he can give you that this week. I have him as my quarterback number 9. Mason Rudolph saw the team he's going to face this week, and Mason Rudolph's, I think Kyler Murray's better than Mason Rudolph. He's got a lot of little dink and dunk stuff. I think he has way better, I want to say way better, but better weapons, more solid weapons. And I think that he's going to put up a decent top 10 game for you this week. So, yeah, I'm feeling very confident about Kyler Murray. Fire him up in your lineups. Be happy.
And my quarterback this week is Andy Dalton because, I mean, nobody owns him. He had a really, really terrible week last week. I doubt he repeats that again against Arizona, who has just got a decimated defense this year. And they're giving up points. That's why I'm high on Eifert. I'm high on Boyd. I'm high on Tate. I'm high on everybody. So give me Dalton. He's going to be the guy passing the ball around. So that's who I'm going for this week.
3 touchdowns.
At least.
All to Tyler Eifert.
Yep. Maybe one to Uzoma.
All right, guys, that is it for the Week 5 weekend preview. Shout out to the other shows in the Sleeper Wire Network. The Break from the Grind guys, George and Jason over there on Beat, which is hosted by producer Rob, who is killing it for us. Shout out to him. Shout out to Dynasty Wire with Draft Genius, the Fantasy Fam, and the Fantasy Champs. Guys, please follow us on Twitter at Sleeper Wire Show, Who's the Prophet, Dirty Jobs 21, and Prof_Chris SW. And on the Sleeper app as well, Prophet Hoos, Dirty Jobs, and Professor Chris. Mike Hoos, thank you so much for joining me again this week.
Always.
Everybody else, we'll catch you next week. Have a good one.